And now, All the Dirt, gardening tips and advice. Sponsored by Farm Credit, loans for farms, homes, and land.
Welcome back. Well, we love when the leaves in Southwest Virginia start to show off, but how much do you really know about fall foliage? John Seiler, a Virginia Tech professor, forestry professor, and expert in tree physiology, gives us all the dirt behind leaf peeping season. Welcome, John.
Hey, thank you, Amanda.
Now, we get a beautiful show of colors around here, but where do these colors actually come from? I mean, how does it work? Does each tree kind of always turn a specific color?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, fascinating process, but also kind of simple, honestly. So with the short days in the fall, the chlorophyll starts breaking down and disappearing. It breaks down into smaller components, into its elements. And yellow colors that have been there all summer, but you can't see them because of all the green, yellow starts appearing. The red colors that you see are a little bit different. The red colors start forming in the fall, and that's a compound with a fancy name called anthocyanins. And if the weather's good, and meaning a lot of moisture in the soil, they'll form a lot of red pigments. And some days or fall weather doesn't cooperate, and there's not quite as much red pigment develops. So the yellow's always there. In short, the yellow's always there. The red develops, and you see the yellow when the green starts breaking down.
Oh, that's interesting. So why, though, do leaves do this?
Oh, it's just for our enjoyment. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, they've got their reasons. So these compounds are really complex chemically, and trees, it takes a lot of work to get all these chemicals out of the soil as they grow. And so instead of losing them, dropping their leaves every fall, and they fall on the ground and then they're gone, they break down, and a whole lot of the elements go back into the plant before they fall off. So basically what they're doing is internally recycling nutrients. So then next year, they can just rebuild the chlorophyll with the nutrients that they've taken out of the leaf before they fell on the ground. They need some new nutrients, but with this recycling, they don't need as much as they would if they all fell off with all the goodies still inside the leaf.
Does that kind of explain what happens, when the leaves fall? Like when they're on the ground, like what happens with that?
Yeah, that kind of finishes up the recycling. So the leaves fall on the forest floor, and different species break down quicker. But we have a lot of oak trees in this region, and they take like 2 or 3 years to completely break down. And what that does is adds a lot of good organic matter to the soil. That's a fancy word for, when you garden, you often put peat moss in the soil to make the soil better. What's sort of like natural peat mossing, and the leaves break down and make their way down into the soil and enrich it and darken it and make it healthier for trees to grow.
So Mother Nature knows what she's doing, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so, you mentioned gardeners. I'm a gardener. A lot of folks are. How can we utilize these fallen leaves at home?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I wish we used them a lot more. A lot of people still rake them up and bag them up, and that's kind of not a great thing to do. I tell folks if they've got kind of little wild areas in the back, like places where there's just lots of trees or shrubs, to just rake them up underneath there. You can use them for mulch around trees. If you have a mulching mower, you can just chop them up. So as much as you can, try to leave them in place. And if you just are overwhelmed with them and you can't use them all up, to get them to a place where they'll recycle them for you, and they can make mulch out of them, and then people can come and get that. Because it's just it's free nutrition for your gardens, for your lawn. Now I understand, like, if they completely cover up the lawn, you've got to get them off of that. But a lot of times there's places you can kind of rake them in the edges of your lawn and under some trees and things.
All right, really quickly, when is the best time for folks to go leaf peeping here in Southwest Virginia?
Yeah, last week in October, there's already some colors showing. You drive around, certain tree species are already showing because they go early, but it's just going to get better up until about the last week in October. I always pick a Saturday, of course, because that's when people can go out, and so I'm thinking about October 28th. There's going to be pretty good color even, the week before that, October 21st, and maybe a little bit after that, that first weekend in November. Yep.
All right, John Seiler, a Virginia Tech Forestry Professor and expert in tree physiology. Thanks so much for giving us all the dirt today on fall foliage.
You're welcome.